Good morning to all of you. It's my extreme pleasure to come back to this campus after several years. I was the Vice Chancellor. I used to visit here perhaps every month, I think. And before I get into today's, whatever I want to share with you, I want to talk about this department a couple of minutes, although Pramodini has said something. Even before the government of India was thinking about IKS, 6 years ahead of us, we were thinking of IKS, Indian Knowledge Systems. And in fact, the very birth of Chinmaya Vishwa Vidyapeeth was because of IKS. And this particular school of Kalayoga, there was enormous thinking that went behind how do we make it? Because, when you want to be a performing artist, you go to your guru. And that paddhati is different. If you go to university, it has a certain paddhati. You have a lot of intellectual discourses, conceptual things related to music. Of course, there's a bit of performance arts in practice and so on. Somewhere our founding ideas were we have to somehow bring the best of both, which means while we need to stick to University Grants Commission's thousands of rules as to how to run a degree program, that doesn't necessarily fit with the performing arts. So we had to find a way to ride both the horses. I think we have some very experts in the domain. You may want to really spend time with Pramodini to understand. I think this is a bold experiment in which we have tried to ride both the horses. So the structure is a little different. And the way we go about appears a little non-traditional. But I am sure there is a huge potential sitting here, which would unfold itself. We are in the process of making that happen. And I would like the other participants to understand and see how we can also talk about this and discuss how we need a different kind of a model where we can't go on either sides. Somewhere we need to find a way to. So I remember those days. I'm sure this curriculum that is being done in the School of Kalayoga has reflections of that. And of course, anything can be improved and gone further and so on. I thought I'll just reflect on that before I get in. What I want to talk to you is about something which the government of India is now very keen. And I've been fortunate to create a literature which is non-existent in this country for 75 years. I've written a book on Indian knowledge systems, which the government, the UGC, the AICT. In fact, the AICT chairman and requested me to write that book, and then I ended up writing this book. And I want to share a few things from that book. So let me start with the oldest known knowledge for this mankind, which is Rig Veda. So let me start from that. Let me recite this and then move on. Na sada sin no sada asit. Tadanim nasid rajo no vyoma paroyat kimaraviva kahakusya sharman amba kima asid gahanam gabhiram na mrityura asid amrutam na tarhinaratrya anha asid praketaha Anidavatam swadaya tadekam tasmadanyanna parakinchanasa. I just recited 2 mantras. There are 10, 11, 12 mantras, I think, in this Nasadiya Suktam. While if I recite these 2 mantras, 95% of Indians think Purohit to aa gaya, kuch puja shuru ho gaya hai. Which may be true, but little people know this sukta is about what is called cosmogeny, or cosmology. Our rishis wanted to understand the origin of the universe, which is what today's scientists are wanting to understand. And you just go and Google for this Nasadi Suktam. There are a lot of foreigners reading it. Because in 10 mantras, so beautifully, the rishis have actually contemplated on what could have been the origin of the universe, which is what today's scientists are also trying in their own methods. So they are very excited about this. Rigveda, this is the 129th Sukta in the 10th Mandala of Rigveda. There is a 131st Sukta also, which talks about cosmogony. The reason I brought this is Indian knowledge system has lot of interesting material for people on different domains. I've written a 450-page book. I don't think I'll have time to talk about it in 35 minutes. So I'll give you a quick trailer of what it is. Can you move on? So what you will see next, I do not know how many of you can recognize this. This is the only fort which is a living fort which is going to complete 1,000 years now. Only living fort in the world. Raja Jaisal actually built this is Jaisal Amir. Raja Jaisal built it in 1056 CE. So in another 20 years, we will probably, celebrate 900 years. Indians know how to build structures which can last thousands of years, not a few months or a few years. I want you to understand, none of our school of architecture will teach this because they don't know. None of our school of architecture, I'm going to show you 2-3 slides, which is the architectural marvel of this country. We talk about the big temple, the Brigadishwara temple, which we celebrated 1,000 years, and we don't have a leaning tower. Our towers will never lean. The leaning tower of Pisa will fall. I don't know when, because it is leaning slowly. Indians know how to build a tower which will stay put. And who knew this knowledge? And what was the knowledge? These are all barefoot engineers who had an attire something like mine. Okay, move on. I don't know how many of you can recognize this again. There are only 4 dams in the world which belongs to 2,000 years. 5 dams in the world which were built 2,000 years back. 4 of them are no more. Only one exists in India. This is called the Kallanai, the Grand Anaikat built by Karikal Chola. And we know how to build dams which will last for 2,000 years. Not 200 years or 500 years and so on. This is the only dam which is existing today of that vintage. This is in a place called Tiruchirappalli. And what do? Every 2 years, 3 years, we only paint it. Whitewash karke thoda uska alankar karna hai. Bas, baki sab nahi chahiye. It will remain. Okay, I was actually giving a talk on this. One of my very senior colleague at IIT Madras called me. He said, Mahadevan, I want to tell you, I have been listening to your lecture on this and you were talking about this. I want to tell you 3 years back, there was a PhD submitted in IIT Delhi. And which said that the Britishers raised the height of this dam by some 23 inches in 1813, which turned out to be wrong. That was the PhD thesis. It was not to be done. Because his PhD thesis says, every 6 years, the water must flow out of this dam and destroy the crop downstream. That is a sustainable agriculture, which probably our ancestors knew. So he said this was not a good idea, raising the dam height by another 13 inches, which is what Britishers did. So this dam is 2,000 years old. And again, this speaks of not just architecture, it speaks of what is called watershed management. And what are our politicians doing today? Karnataka has waged a war with Maharashtra, Kerala, Tamil Nadu for water. Every state wants to fight with every state for water. Kerala has a fight with Tamil Nadu. This is our current day watershed management. Whereas in Sangam period, since I am from Tamil Nadu, I know it a little bit more. And I know of such things in Bihar also. I know of such things in Rajasthan and Gujarat also. But I know more about what happened in Tamil Nadu. Our understanding of how to manage water was very good. There are Uttaramerur inscriptions which talk about how we manage water tables. Today we are busy. Bangalore was a city of lakes. All the lakes have been destroyed today. This is what modern management and civilization, which were imbibed from the West, has taught us. Yeah. This temple is very close to a place where I was born. And what is so special about this temple is each pillar here, you guys can take a stick, go there and do a Naada Bindu festival there. These are musical pillars. You can do a concert here. Saptaswara pillars made out of stone, granite. Granite is the hardest material to work on. It will break. It is very brittle but very hard. And these are not a cluster of 48 pillars which are made and use a Pidilite or a quick fix and then fix each one of these, carved out of a single stone. It is not we made 48 pillars and then put Fevicol and then stuck it. It's a single stone which is carved like this, in which Sapta Swaras are there, and there are 161 pillars like this. Pandya kings were known for building musical pillars. Madurai Meenakshi temple has it. When I was a child, I used to go and beat it. Today they have covered it there because the tourist influx is so much. You can go and see a musical pillar. You cannot touch it. This temple you can go and touch it. This is the biggest temple in Tirunelveli district in Tamil Nadu. Nellayappar temple. And this is built by Nindrasir Nedumaran, the Pandya kings, 1400 years before, 1500 years before. For India, 2000, 5000 are just like yesterday. It's not 200, 300 years is nothing. This is 1400 years old, that temple. Okay. And there are 161 pillars like that, which means you should know architecture, you should know metallurgy, because you need the hardest, you need high speed alloy steel. You cannot work with stones otherwise. I'm using today's words to describe what happened 1500 years back. You need high speed alloy steel to touch the stone, otherwise the stone will break. To carve like this, you need high speed alloy steel. So you should be good in metallurgy. You should know sound engineering. You should know frequency and all physics. You should know. You should know architecture. You should know civil engineering. I can go on by looking at one temple. I can bring you the whole of science, engineering, and technology into one discussion with just one photo. That is the legacy I am talking about. Yeah. Can you go down? This is something which is a child's play for Indians. You know what you see on the left is called a magic square. हमारा पद्धति में इसका नाम था भद्रगणितम. Bhadraganita. What you see on the right is called Sarvato Bhadraganita. Let me talk about what it is. On the left, you have what is called magic square. What it means is all rows add up to the same sum. All columns add up to the same sum. Both the diagonals will also add up to the same sum. The sum happens to be 34. You can check. सभी columns का summation 34 होगा. सभी rows का भी 34 होगा. Diagonals का भी 34 होगा. It's called Bhadraganitam. And this is a very special property. You have a 4x4 matrix and you are filling the first 16 natural numbers 1 to 16 into that. You don't have number anything other than 1 to 16. So it's a special property which was studied by Narayana Pandita 700 years back. Okay. And he actually did what is called an algorithm to construct what you have on the right is even more difficult. That is called Sarvato Bhadraganitam, pan-diagonal magic square. क्या मतलब है? Each row adds to the same. Each column adds to the same. The diagonal adds to the same. But then he said, this is no longer a sheet. It is a cylinder, which can be rolled horizontally or vertically. If you roll it vertically, after 13, 16, and 4, the next number will be 1. ऐसा सोच कर सकते हैं ना? इस cylinder है. So इसी के दूसरा side में 1 आ जाएगा. That is also 34 now. You now roll horizontally. If you roll horizontally, after 11, 7, and 6, the next number will be 10. ऐसा सोच कर roll it horizontally. The next number will be 10. That is also 34 now. So there are no two diagonals. There are a lot of diagonals now. All of them will add up to 34. This is called pan-diagonal magic square. And Narayana Pandita wrote an algorithm to construct it. He wrote properties of this. And he said in 1499, you can construct 383 such matrices. All of them adding up to 34. What happened to the West? In 1920, the mathematics department in some university in the US said there are only 8 possible for the same structure. Only 8 possible. In 1928, another person came and said, no, 383, which our Narayana Pandita said 700 years back. We are sitting on that kind of a knowledge. Our Kerala School of Math is absolutely fabulous. They have solved every problem that you learn today. We call it as Newton-Raphson method and all. No, they are all actually Madhava. Today, Encyclopedia Britannica call it as Newton-Madhava-Gregory series. It is neither Newton series, not Gregory series. Madhava came with infinite series and gave a 13-digit approximation for the value pi, 22/7. He wrote an infinite series. Madhavacharya is a Jain monk in the 8th century. He wrote an infinite series. The whole calculus is because of him. None of us know that. We are not even taught like that. Yeah, go ahead. This is called a Katapayadi system because you are in a music program. I'll bring this Katapayadi system and show you how we had a very unique ways of representing any number you want. All that you need is kaka ga ga ga, cha cha ja ja na, ta ta da da na, letters, and there is a number 1 to 0. Now you tell me any digit, I will actually use this. In fact, in my book, I have given an exercise. I said Corona na Raja Nashakaha, and we converted into Katapayati system. It came to 15th August 2021. I was surprised. I actually created a Corona Raja Nashakaha and used Katapayati. The date turned out to be 15/8/2021. I said there will be a bigger disaster in 15th August 2021, Delta. 2020 was version 1. 2021 was bad. It was peak in August. So our Katapayati system, you can use and create anything you want. I'll use it and come to it a little later. Go down. This is a coin. Our emperors are all giving coins, no? PS1, PS2, I have coin ka hai na udhar. No, I showed it to one professor of metallurgy. I said, sir, tell me, what do you think about that coin? Samudragupta, who was the last king of the Chandragupta Maurya race, 300 CE, 18,800 years back. I asked him how to make that. He taught me the full metallurgy, which I learned as a mechanical engineer. He said, first, Mahadevan, you should know that there is gold somewhere down the earth. You should know how to take it out in the form of a ore. You should know how to separate the metal from the ore. Because the ore and metal has to be separated. And 1 kilogram of ore, you'll get 10 grams of gold. Then he said, you should know gold cannot be used by itself. You have to add an impurity called copper. Only then you can start making something. Then he said, you should know what is called molding. You should know what is called embossing. You should know what is called forming. He said, all that is behind that coin. We have taken that for granted. This is a 1st century BC earring ornament, which is found in Metropolitan Museum in Washington from Andhra. You can't make it. You need some intricate tools to make this ear ornament. So all these show Indians are absolutely fabulous in metallurgy. In fact, I have two full chapters on that in my book. I don't have time to talk about it today. What Indians have done, others have not even able to think. Others didn't know how to separate zinc from the ore. Because zinc at 500 degrees centigrade, it will come out of the ore. At 550 degrees centigrade, it will become zinc oxide. So you have to catch it between 500 degree and 550 degree. Indians knew it. Rajasthan, K3 mines. We were doing in 11th century, millions of tons of zinc was produced, where the world was scratching to know how to get zinc. This is the legacy of this country. एक उदाहरण देता हूं मैं, how we are good in metallurgy. Yeah, go down. So anyway, I want to give you a quick glimpse of all these rather than spending more time. So I want to tell you what is this IKS. IKS is a repository which is knowledge for 5 millennium and more. In fact, this is the only civilization which is an uninterrupted civilization. You can go to Rome. I went to Rome and I saw what is called Roman Colossal. I mean, you are seeing some broken pieces. Civilization to khatam. Egyptian civilization to khatam. Babylonian civilization to nahi hai abhi. It is only Chinese and Indians who are uninterrupted civilization for thousands and millennia after millennia. So IKS is a corpus of knowledge which was accumulated over time. Na? If we sit together and spend 1 year, we develop some knowledge. If we sit here for 10,000 years, I am sure you would have developed a lot more knowledge. No? That is what IKS is. So I'll quickly define it. IKS has 3 parts. There is something called Indian. Okay. So there is an Indian to the IKS, which is knowledge created by the Indian society. And I want to tell this group, Indian has 2 meanings. It has a geographical meaning. There is a demographic meaning. Geographical meaning is Akhanda Bharat, not this nonsense called India, which was created in 1947. Akhanda Bharat. Because in Vishnu Purana, you can see our northern boundary and southern boundary cannot be stretched because Himalayas and ocean are there. But our eastern and western boundaries were actually very large. Over years, they have shrunk it. So I'm talking about Akhanda Bharat. That is a geographic Indian. Whereas demographic Indian is very important. Most of the Indians are not Indians. I'm sorry to tell you, because we don't know anything about our culture. Why Indian, somebody, it is like a jamun which is immersed in the sugar juice. Indian who is steeped in the culture. So Max Muller has written what Max Muller is not IKS. It is about IKS. What Megasthenes has written is about IKS. He doesn't know anything about India. We have been reading such pieces for the last 75 years. That's not about IKS. That's about IKS. Indian is one who has lived deeply, integrated into the society. There was one lady by name Stella Krimrish. She came from University of Chicago in 1920 and spent about 20 years in Calcutta. If you want to know anything about Hindu temple architecture, read her book. Nobody can write better than her. Absolutely fabulous book. I read it for writing one chapter in my book. Beautifully, she has written about, Vastu Purusha Mandala, and the entire thing about Hindu temples is available. She has written a very good book on Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. She is an Indian to me. Stella Krimrish. Yeah. Stella Krimrish. Stella K, you can see. All these are available. Yeah. So that is Indian. Knowledge is, of course, any set of people, when they get together, they experiment, they validate, they develop insights, they put them together. That's called knowledge. Every society does it, not only Indian society. Every society does it. We are talking about Indian knowledge, so Indian society. So it is experiment, deep experiences, insights, validate, experiment, and then bring that knowledge. Only thing about Indian knowledge is it has a very interesting dimension called oral. That's where the IKS in music will come in a big way. I am not going to, since there are experts, I am not going to touch more on it, maybe on some other occasion. But it is oral. Oral does not mean you don't have lipi. You have a lipi. The entire Veda, the way I recited Nasada, no tada, asi, tadani, this was what it was recited 5,000 years back. This is how it will be recited 10,000 years later also. We had perfected phonetics. We were absolute masters in phonemes, phonetics. So it is all oral. Literary is also there, but Indian knowledge is very peculiarly oral. That's another interesting part about it. And of course, system. System is a very structured methodology. If it is Vedic corpus, we have what is called Chaturdasha Vidyasthana. We founded the university with the principles of Chaturdasha Vidyasthana. Then we moved on. Then there's Ashtadasha Vidyasthana. All those are there. So that is called, so this is Indian knowledge system, if you wish, into which music will come, aesthetics will come, psychology. So this is kind of a classification you can think of Indian knowledge system. You have literary and non-literary. Literary mein Sanatana Dharma corpus hai, then other dharmas are there, Jaina and Bauddha. Okay, and then there are many more which came later. Okay, then you have a regional corpus. The entire Sanatana Dharma corpus is told 200 times in the regional corpus. You have Tulsidas Ramcharitamanas, which retold Valmiki, or Kamparamayana, for example. So the regional corpus is 200 times bigger than the Sanatana Dharma corpus. It is retelling the same thing, nourishing it with the local content, not changing the story, contextualizing it, adding a little more local pieces into it so your understanding becomes better. So that's a regional corpus, which took this. In Sanatana Dharma corpus, people IKS they think only mantras, they think only Veda. But there is a huge list, mathematics. Just now I gave a few. So I gave only examples from the others because I want to dispel this myth. You have mathematics, you have astronomy, you have, Gandha Yukti. How do you make perfumes? And in Bharata's Natya Shastra, there are so many things available as many of us are aware of it. You have governance, administration, psychology, astronomy. Indian calendar is the best calendar. You know why Sunday, Monday, Tuesday came? There is a formula which came from India. That's why after Saturday it is Sunday. After Sunday it is Monday. There is a way, there is a formula which you can get it. You have to arrange all the planets. Indians never took, Rahu. Indians had only 4 planets actually and moon. That's all. 5 and Earth. Sun, that's all. So if you arrange in the order in which they are actually descending order in which they are actually rotating, and there is a Hora and calculator, you will find, in fact, the first day of Kali turned out to be a Saturday. Aryabhatta told us. How do I know today is actually Monday? Nobody knows. You have to start somewhere, na? So it was 3102nd February, 19th February 3102 BC is a Saturday, which Aryabhatta said. And if you calculate that way, today will be Monday. That's how we did. Contributions are far too many, which we are not aware of, actually. Yeah. So a little bit on music, I will touch upon and then leave it more to expose my ignorance than I am a great music lover anyway. I have family of musicians anyway, but still, yeah. So all that I want to tell you is IKS has very strong music connections. And not IKS. The society has music connections. Mathematical pieces are uttered beautifully in a shloka and sung to a song. That's how it is. You say Chaturadikam Sadamashta Gunam Dvasashtistata Sahasranam. Definition for pi. 62,832 divided by 20,000. You can check the number. Aryabhatta gave this. It will be a nice shloka which will be sung. Music is part of our life. Okay. But if you ask where is the starting for all that, it is the starting is what it is. Let me chant from Taittiriya, for example. The end of Taittiriya Upanishad. Ha Uha Uha U Ahamannam 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 Ahamannado Ahamannado Ahamannadaha Ahagshlo Kakrit Ahagshlo Kakrit Ahagshlo Kakrit Ahamasmi Pratamajarita Sya Purvam Devebhyo Amritasya Va Bhai Yoma Dadati Saideva Ma Vaha Ahamannamannamadantamā Mi Aham Vishwam Bhuvanamabhyabhavam Suvarna Jyoti. This is the nearest to Samagana. This is a Samagana actually. Although it is part of Krishna Yajurveda, this is part of Samagana. So the origin of the entire notion of the foundational principles of music are in Veda. In Taittiriya Upanishad, let me start the beginning. I recited the end. I recited the beginning because you should know that also. Siksham ya akya syamaha. Then it talks about 6 elements which are fundamental for music. Varna swaraha matra balam samasantanaha. There is something called varna. There is something called swara. In a context of Veda, you have what is called Udata, Anudata, Swarita. All those are there equivalent form in music, of course. In fact, Sanskrit is the only language. A will be 18 A's are there. I don't know how many of you know. A is not just one A. There are 18 A's. How come 18 A's? You have what is called Hrasva Dirgha Pluta. First version is this. I said ha. There are 3 matras actually. Krishna tatrana gaccha. When you have doubt, when you have fear, when you have caution, we have to use pluta. 3 matras. There are 3 matras. Hrasva Dirgha, which we know. So first version is this. Hrasva Dirgha Pluta. Then you have Udata, Anudata, Swarita. The A can be Udata, A can be Swarita, A can be Anudata also. 3 into 3, 9 combination. And in that you have Rasa, Dirgha Pluta, 3 into 3, 9. 9 ho gaya. Then you have what is called Anunasika and Ananunasika. A is nasal. E, 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 U. One is called Nasika, another. All these are the elements for music, basically. It's called Anunasika and Ananunasika. So now what has happened? 3 into 3 into 2. So there are 18 ways you can use A. Please understand. Okay. That is what is coming in that Taittiriya Upanishad Siksha. You have Matra. You have, what is called Nasika and Anunasika. You have Swara. Balam is there. Right? Sama and Santana. So these principles are laid out in Veda, in Shiksha Shastra, because we were masters of pronunciation. We were absolutely clear about phonetics. That is what the Sanskrit language really brought it. It brought all those beautiful things to support. That is how the music is built now. You need these 6 components. Without that, music is not. Ucharana is very important. Bhava Shuddhi and Ucharana Shuddhi. Without that, music has no meaning. These are, according to me, the 2 pillars, and Swara Shuddhi. If you have these three pillars, music is there. If you take one of the pillars, to that extent, the music is fallen. It's like a tripod with one leg broken. We need Uchara Shuddhi, we need a Bhava Shuddhi, and we need a Swara Shuddhi. Right? All those are laid out in these Siksha Shastra. And that is why music is the music which is Naada. I mean, there is a nice invocation song that they sung. I don't know how many of you noticed. They talked about what is called Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, and Vaikari. Such a great concept. You will find it in Rigveda. Chaturtam Manyante. In Rigveda, it says there are four. The fourth one is what people use it for talking. It is called Vaikari. You have Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, and Vaikari. That Para is Naada Brahman. See, when I speak one sentence, in modern management and all communication, they say there is a receiver, there is a sender, there is a medium. Indians never said that. If you have to talk one word, first the Naada Brahman has to make that. You are not making. The Naada Brahman is manufacturing that word. The thought is nothing but Naada Brahman. That is the Para. Then that crystallizes a little bit. The thought, this is the process. Finally, one word may come out. Then it crystallizes a little bit more. That is called Pashyanti. Then it gets a verbal structure, depending upon the language or the medium. That is called Madhyama. Then finally it comes out in the form of some sound. That is called Vaikari. In that beautiful song to Devi Sharda, they brought those four. Those are all fundamental to any sound. Sound is the basis for our existence. Sound is the basis for music anyway. All these have their Vedic connotations. They are all coming from our, of course, Samaveda has, just move on. I conclude because I want to stick to your time. I don't want to go beyond your time. Samaveda is actually, of the four Vedas, Samaveda is the basis for, I do not know how many of you are aware, in Mundaka Upanishad, there is a beautiful mantra. It says, this boat, which is an unstable boat of 18 components. That's what that mantra says. In the second Mundaka, second chapter of the first Mundaka, it says, Ashtavara Avaraha, Ashtadasha Avaraha, that is one mantra. It says this boat is such a unstable boat consisting of 18 components. What are these 18 components? The 18 components are, Indians are very good in project management. If you have to do an yajna, you need actually 4 teams of 4 each. There is one team of people, okay, from Rigveda. Okay, 4 of them are required. There's a captain and there are 3 assistant managers. Okay, then you have another team of 4 from Yajurveda. Okay, then there is a 3rd team from Udgata. It's called Udgatra Gana, Udgatas. Again, you need a team of 4 from Samaveda. They are the Udgata Gana actually. It says, I don't know whether I use that word here or not. I don't. Udgatra, it says. Okay, then there is a 4th team of 4 managers required. They are from what is called Atharva Veda. He is called Brahma Gana. You know why? Because the Rigveda people will pull the mantras. They say you are appropriating a god. These are the mantras to use. Okay. Then the Yajurveda, Yajna can be done only by, that's why it's called Yajurveda, Yajus. Yaj, Yajanam, Yaj. The word Yajurveda has come from Yaj, means to sacrifice. So the technology of sacrifice is only with Yajurveda. So only they can do. So if you tell me what is, they have all the methodology. So they will come and they will do Advaryu. They will come and do. Then after that, you call somebody for dinner. After dinner is over, you play a nice music, sit down and have your dessert, no? That's exactly what our Aryans did. After the sacrifice is over, you need to get Samagana now. That's where the Udgatra Gana will come. They will come and play nice music. These were the origins of music. Now, then what is the role of this Brahma Gana? The Brahma Gana is somebody who should know all the Vedas, because he is the quality control manager. If something goes wrong, he will stop. Or if the Yajurveda person has a problem, he doesn't know how to deploy a particular strategy, he has to ask the Brahma Gana. Then he will tell, do like this. So these are the 4 into 4, and he has manager and assistant manager. So 4 into 4, 16. What are the 2 more? That is the Yajamana and Yajamana Patni. So they are the one who is doing the Yajna. That 18, in that Samaveda is the one which brings music. So I was in Iran for about 3 months. I was writing a book never got completed. And Iran, they called me, sir, can you come and teach a PhD level course? I wanted to hit 3 stones, 3 mangoes with 1 stone. I was building a house. I didn't have money. They will give me a little more money. I thought I'll put it for the house. I want to finish my book. So I'll be away from my family. I'll go and sit there. I will write a book. And then they want to teach some course. Let us also do it. So I put all the 3 and went there. 3 months, I had what is called, the Mauna Vrata. Nobody can speak English in Iran. English in Iran is like Sanskrit in India. You can understand, but you cannot speak. Because my PhD level course on computer simulation, I taught in English. They all understood, but they never asked a question. Samskrite asmavihi vartalapam kartum samartyam nasti. Yadi aham Samskrite kimapi vadami bhavantah jananti. Yadi aham stotram patami bhavantah artha avagamanam bhavishyati. Parantu Samskrite vartalapam na kurvanti bhavantah. Evameva asit tatra. So 3 months I had a, Mauna Vrat, but then 5 times a day when they play that mosque, when they play, pure Samagana. Ekdam pure. Here it is not very nice to hear. In the mosque, when they were playing that namaz 5 times, it was pure Samagana. And I realized they practice which we don't practice. You know what is the practice in Iran? There is a tap outside the house. You have to wash your legs before you get into the house. There is a tap outside the kitchen. Even if you are inside the house, you have to wash your hands and legs and go into the kitchen. They are the pure Aryans. Converted, that's a different story. They are all the influences which we have little bit corrupted in our own. Anyway, coming back, that is the Samaveda, and which has one of the Upanga of that is the Gandharva Veda, which has the dance and music and all that. So all these fundamentals came from there. Okay, I think I will just stop here. You have this Raga Chakra Malika. If you know Katapayadi, you can get any of these. And Katapayadi is no big deal. Kaka gaga na chacha jajana, kaka kaka na tata dadana. That's why it's called Katapayadi. Katapaya. Adi means etel in Sanskrit, etc., etc. So Katapaya Adi, Katapayadi. That is this number. Now, if you want any, in fact, I know all the 72 by heart. How? Because I knew this. So Mecha Kalyani, if you take, I'll say it is 65. Why? Because Ma will be 5, Cha will be 6. So Indians actually were very good in numerals. They started from right to left, not from left to right. Because you had units, tens, hundreds, like that you should go. So, I have 3 examples. You just, So we are talking about, Mecha Kalyani, May will be 5, Cha will be 6. So it will be 65. Okay. Or if you are talking about, what is Jayantashriya, what is that? Vagadishwari. Vagadishwari will be 34. You will have 4 and 3. Right? You have Denushri or Gana Murti will be 0 and 3. So it will be. So I knew that when I was doing PhD, I used to do a lot of work on music actually. My PhD was on manufacturing system design. But I used to very seriously do things in music at that time. So I simply found, this is what the Mela Kartas and Janya Ragas, and I knew Katapayadi, so I could put 2 plus 2, 4 together and so on. Indians are very good in, when you talk of aesthetics and music, then you need to Alankara is very important. So we are very good in painting. In Vatsyana's Kama Sutra, there is something called Varnabhanga. He says how you can have 3 basic colors, the RGB that we talk in Microsoft Palette today. He says these are the 5 basic colors. There's a shloka is also there. Mula Rangaha. There are only 5, white, black, Neela, and all that. You can get any number of colors. All those are written in Kama Sutra. It is written in Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. We know how to do a painting. We know how to decorate ourselves. Chatusashti Kala. All those are there. They are all having very serious connections to our aesthetics and music. This is another thing with which I want to end. Now, today, the only thing we hear about these idols is either they are stolen or they are brought back. These are the only 2 messages you read in Indian newspaper today. Either they are stolen or they are brought back. Little do you understand, it's difficult to make such sharp images. And these are 1,500 years old, by the way. Chola time, 600, 700 CE and all that. And do you know how they make it? You have to go to Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. There is something called Madhuchishta Vidanam. Uchishta is leftover. Madhu is honey. So Madhuchishta is the beehive. So they make molds with beehive, pour the molten metal, and then the beehive will automatically go. This will be very, very short. In 17th century, French actually found this technology. They called it as last wax. There's a French term also for that. Last wax casting technology. Whereas Indians have been doing it for years. Not only that, I jokingly say that you don't know how to make even a khichdi. Because khichdi is not putting the ingredients into a tawa. Khichdi never comes. You can't put rava and water and some oil and something. Nothing comes out of it. Indians know how to put 5 metals together and make, not one metal. We don't even know how to make sambar or khichdi. It's not that easy. These guys put 5 metals together and make panchaloha idols. In what proportion you should put 5 metals to make beautiful looking idols? We are sitting on something, not doing what it is. Okay, I will just stop here. All that I would like to say is this is my book. Can you go back to the book? This is the book which I authored. The minister personally wrote to me to write a book, and I thought if the minister asked, you should do, and I wrote this book. Anyway, so this is available. 14 chapters are there. It is available in Prentisal. It is available in Amazon. What I showed you is just 0.01% of what is a very densely written book, because there is so much I wanted to share with the Indians. I will end with this story that there is a temple and there was a beggar sitting in a wooden box in the temple and asking for alms. And one sannyasi was about to go in, and sannyasi said, I am also supposed to beg, therefore I can't give you anything. But I want to tell you something. You are sitting on that box. Why don't you open and see what is inside? Then this sannyasi beggar said, no, sir, I am a 5th generation. My great-grandfather sat on it. My grandfather sat. My father sat. I am sitting. My son is already ready. So 5 generations, what is there to see? Then the sannyasi, before going into the temple, he said, whether you sit on the box for 1 minute or 1 million hours, it doesn't matter until you open and see what it is. Aisa bol ke andar gaya. After 2-3 days, this beggar thought, oh, what that sannyasi said makes sense. I've been sitting on the top of it. So there is no key for that. Key to katam, to nasht ho gaya. So he took a huge stone and then broke that lock. He opened the box. What he found inside was full of diamonds and gold and all that. He was sitting on that treasure. So I don't know whose story is this. I titled this talk as Treasure in the Wooden Box. Thank you.